Yeah, please read now.
Even now, now it's clear. Now it's clear. A few words about this text. This text is based on the series of 22 talks. The word pravarchanam would probably be more appropriate on the subject of Tattvabodha, rendered by Swami Paramarthananda Saraswati, Swamiji, a disciple of Swami Dayananda Saraswati of Arsha Vidya Gurukulam, headquartered at Coimbatore in India. Am I audible to all?
Yeah, yeah. Please continue.
Okay. Yeah. While listening and understanding Swamiji's pravachanams, I took extensive notes, almost verbatim. I feel that it was the Guru's blessings and God's will, will that the thought will that the thought to use my notes to produce this textbook occurred to me. I feel that this text could help a lot of earnest students like me to get introduced to the subject of Advaita, non-dual philosophy of Sanatana Dharma, which is popularly known as Hinduism. The text is in no way meant to be a substitute for Swamiji's pravachanams. I would strongly urge any serious seeker to first listen to pravachanams of Swamiji's Swamiji in a systematic and regular manner. Wait, you scrolled it up, right? Systematic
Yeah,
and wait, regular manner, as one would do in a classroom in a college. The text should help such students to revise their learning after listening to Swamiji's pravachanams. In these pravachanams, Swamiji provides, in addition to the subject matter under discussion, that is Tattvabodha, a significant insight into the various aspects of Dharma Shastra, the do's and don'ts for leading a spiritual life, and answers to many questions that we may have concerning the religion, spirituality, etc., which may only be indirectly related to the topic under discussion. Can you please scroll up?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, listening to pravachanams is thus a highly enriching and totally fulfilling experience. While I have tried to faithfully reproduce Swamiji's words in this text, for the most part, I have taken the liberty to suitably edit the narrative to conform to the print and reading medium. For example, Swamiji, like all effective teachers, uses repetition as a tool to drive home a point or make it easy for the listeners to follow the line of thought. In this text, I have tried to avoid such repetitions as much as possible. Secondly, Swamiji, like all traditional and proficient teachers, starts every class with a brief summary of what was taught in the previous classes. I have excluded these summaries and the points therein wherever I found them repetitive. Tattvabodha is written in Sanskrit language, so it will be a great advantage to those who has a good knowledge of this language, the script, the grammar, the interpretation rules, etc., to study and understand the original text. In the absence of such knowledge, one can, of course, fall back upon the available commentaries in English or a couple of other languages. However, in my view, a basic knowledge in Sanskrit and Devanagari script will make this journey of learning wait fallback and available commentaries or a couple of languages. However, in my view, a basic knowledge of Sanskrit and Devanagari script will make this journey of learning much more enjoyable. Swamiji in his pravachanams takes great pains to explain each and every word in the original Tattvabodha text. So I have reproduced the words in the text in Devanagari script. I admit that I have only very preliminary knowledge of the Sanskrit language, middle school level, and hence I cannot rule out the errors in the reproduction of. Can you please scroll up?
Yeah.
Yeah. Reproduction of the words in Devanagari script. I humbly request the readers to give me feedback on such errors, gana.gana@gmail.com, so that they can be rectified. I have adopted the scheme of international alphabet of Sanskrit transliteration, IAST, for romanization of the Devanagari script. Of course, the meaning of each word is elaborated by Swamiji himself. The transliteration and pronunciation guide is given at the beginning of this text. Swamiji often emphasizes in his pravachanams on other Vedantic texts, especially Bhagavad Gita, that it is not sufficient to merely acquire self-knowledge at the intellectual level. All this knowledge should be fully assimilated, actualized, and converted into inner strength. Only then can we hope to escape from this whirlpool of samsara and attain true liberation. I am reminded of an anecdote relating to Swami Chinmayananda, which Swamiji recounts in one of his pravachanams. A person once proudly boasted to Swami Chinmayananda that he had gone through many Upanishads and also Bhagavad Gita. Swami Chinmayananda, with his characteristic wit, responded, I am glad that you have gone through many of the Upanishads and also the Bhagavad Gita. I know that it is not an easy task, but tell me how many Upanishads have gone through you. I therefore appeal to all those who want to pursue this study not to treat this merely as a learning as at intellectual level, but put the knowledge to practice on a day-to-day basis. Can you please scroll up?
Yeah.
Yeah. Please scroll up.
Yeah. Can
No,
you
I'm
see now?
missing some. Yeah.
Yeah.
This will most certainly change. Wait. This will certainly change your attitude and your approach to life. I am only echoing the guarantee given by the scriptures. I am indebted to the scores of people who have helped me directly and indirectly in compiling this text. However, I would like to make a special mention of the contributions of my daughter Shruti, my son Shreyas, and my good friend M. Janardhan for the successful completion of this project. I offer my humble pranams and prostrations at the lotus feet of Swami Paramarthananji and seek his blessings for the successful completion of this maiden endeavor of mine. I think that's it, right?
Yeah. Yeah, that's it. That's.
Yeah.
Now, next person is Nirmala Ji, I think.
Yeah. A note on Hindu religious systems. Sanatana Dharma, popularly known as Hinduism, is one of the oldest religions of the world. Sanatana means unending, perpetual, everlasting, primeval, etc. The word dharma has several meanings. In this context, one could take the meaning as that customary observance or prescribed conduct which relates to justice, virtue, or morality. More than a religion, it is a way of life to be practiced by one and all. That is what Sanatana Dharma is all about. The original Shamuji, yeah.
Yeah.
The original scriptures of Hindus are called Vedas. They were so vast, the mass of writings, that the largest library in the world today would be found to be insufficient to store all the texts in a printed form. Sadly, most of this literature has been lost forever. A large portion of the Vedas has disappeared, and what we have today is perhaps only a minuscule of the original volume. The Vedas, which form part of the Mimamsa school, which deals with religious and spiritual thoughts, are divided into two parts. The Karma Kanda, which relates to action or work part. This consists of rituals and ceremonies, some of which are very elaborate to be performed by the people and various hymns addressed to various gods. The other part, that is the Jnana Kanda, consists of the Upanishads imparting the knowledge of the non-dual, limitless reality. This chart provides a brief overview of the traditional Hindu religious systems.
Yes, you can see the chart.
Yeah.
Yeah, please go on, Nirmala ji.
Yeah. Traditional Hindu religious systems. Do I just read from the flowchart?
Yeah, flow chart.
Okay. Orthodox, which is Astika, Vedic, and unorthodox, which is Nastika, non-Vedic. Orthodox consists of Sankhya, Sakya,
Sankhya.
Sankhya, Yoga, Nyaya, Vaishika,
Vaisheshika.
Vaisheshika, Mimamsa. Mimamsa is of two kinds: Purva Mimamsa, that is Vedic rituals and hymns, and Uttara Mimamsa, that is Vedantic knowledge. Uttara Mimamsa Vedantic knowledge has six parts, which is Advaita, Vishishta Advaita, Dvaita, Dvaita Dvaita, Sudhavaita, Achintya Bheda Bheda. Unorthodox Nastika has three parts: Charvaka, Jainism, and Buddhism.
Okay,
As yeah,
I guess I'll give a small introduction to those who don't. Okay, about this flow chart, I'll give. Um, uh, Traditional Hindu religious systems in India are divided into mainly two types of what is this? Philosophy traditions, darsana systems. One is it is based on the whether they accept Vedas, Pramana or not. Astika, many translate Astika as those who believe in God, and Nastika as those who don't believe in God. That's actually wrong. Astika means one who accepts Vedas, Pramana. They may accept Ishvara, or whether doesn't matter whether they accept Ishvara or not. But Astika means that there may be those who need Ishvaras even among Astika. Astika means you accept Vedas, Pramana. Pramana means means of knowledge. Veda as pramanam to uh, understand moksha shastra. That is what pramana means. Veda as pramana means. So Nastikas don't accept Veda as pramana, so they are called Nastikas. They can also be called Avaidikas, and Astikas can also be called Vaidikas. So there are six types of uh, Astika schools, which is Sankhya, Yoga, Nyaya, Vaisheshika, and Mimamsa. In this Mimamsa, there are again two sub schools as Purva Mimamsa and Uttara Mimamsa. The Purva Mimamsaks focus on the Karma Kanda part, and they uh, believe that it is the performing of the rituals and other rituals mentioned in the Vedas that way you can attain moksha. They believe so, and Vedanta, yeah, we belong to the Uttara Mimamsa or Vedanta school. So again, Uttara Mimamsa. Hello.
It is nothing but
Yes.
the Veda Purva and Veda Anta, right?
Yeah, yeah, it's um, and Vedanta again is. Can you please mute the mic, your mics when you are not? So Advaita, Vishishta, there are different schools in Vedanta. So ours is Advaita. This is basically purely philosophical divisions. Advaita is where we um, we believe that no, actually Advaita is that says that there is no difference between in Atma and Jiva and Paramatma. There is no Jiva and Brahman. There is no duality. Whereas Vishishtadvaita believes that there is, there are Jiva is a part of Brahman. So, and Dvaita believes in 5 types of differences, separations, dualities. So there are 5 types. One is between the Jiva and Brahman. Second is between the Jivas. Uh, Third is between the matter and Jiva. Fourth is between matter and Ishvara. And one more is there. Fifth one between um, matter and Jivas, I think. So anyway, there are these 5 kinds of. So Dvaita, I don't know. Shuddha Dvaita, and similarly, some philosophical differences are there between the other schools also. Now, Nirmala ji, now you can continue reading.
Sure. As can be seen from the chart, the Vedantic school.
May I make a brief interruption here?
Yeah.
I think many people here may not be aware or familiar with the concept of pramana that was talked about earlier. And I don't think the text goes into detail about pramana either. It's kind of like expected that one should understand. So, Shamibhai, do you think it's a good idea to walk people through the concept of pramana for like 5 minutes, 10 minutes?
That would be great. That would be great. Before we start
please.
the topic.
Yeah, please go ahead.
Okay. Actually, pramana means accepting. There are different kinds of pramana. One is our direct perception through our senses, and we that we know the earth exists, or we different people exist. We through our senses we can know, and similarly by seeing, by hearing, we can gain knowledge. That is, these are the different pramanas. Ear is the pramana for hearing, eye is the pramana for seeing, and so on. Through different senses, we can understand different. I mean, we can gain different types of knowledge. And then is inference. Or based on what we saw, we can uh, infer the knowledge based on what we see, and we can understand different things. Okay, then Prashant bhai, can you explain the other Arthabati, Upama, and Anulupalabhi?
Sure. So as I just wanted to mention Nirmala ji, I wasn't correcting the spelling. I was just like outlining all of them. So so we have 5 pramanas, and it's an interesting topic why we consider Vedas as a pramana. So the first pramana Shamubhai already talked about is pratyaksha, which are your direct sensory perceptions, your 5 senses, also called jnanendriya. The second pramana is where there is a hetu, or let me just use English here. Where there's smoke, there's fire. You do not directly see the fire, but you infer that because there is smoke, therefore there ought to be something called fire. There has to be fire. You cannot have smoke without fire. But the interesting thing about Anumana is it does not work the other way around. And so what I mean by that is that suppose there is fire, there need not necessarily be smoke. But because there is smoke, there has to be fire. You can also have smokeless fire. So that is one thing that I thought I'd just make us aware of, that Anumana only works one way. It's not a two-way system. The third one is Arthapati, which is multiple sets of inferences. So it has 2 or more steps involved. Whereas we saw that in Anumana, there was only 1 step. Where there's smoke, there's fire. You hear some barking, there's probably a dog. So that kind of inference. In Arthapati, there's multiple step inferences. So, for example, if Shamubai comes over to my home every day and we sit and we I don't know, listen to Pujya Swamiji's talks and study Vedanta together, but he doesn't eat anything, and then he goes back home, and that's it, and he returns back the next day. And if this process continues for a month, and at the end of the month, if I in the beginning I weigh him on a weighing scale, and he's, let's say, 50 kgs. At the end of the month, again I weigh him, he's still 50 kgs, but he's not eaten anything at my place. And therefore I create a set of inferences here. First is that in order to maintain your weight, you need to eat food. And second is, because he does not eat food at my home, he is probably nocturnal. So he's probably going home at night and eating food there. So this is what you call Arthapati. A lot of science involves Arthapati because there are many different axioms that you can use in order to arrive at conclusions. So Arthapati is multiple sets of inferences. Then you have something called Upama. So let's say Nirmala ji used to live in India before, and she's seen cows and buffaloes, but she's not seen this creature called bison. And so she talks to a friend in California, and her friend says that bison is like a buffalo with a lot of hair on top of it. So you kind of superimpose two things that you know. The first thing that you know is buffalo. The second thing that you know is hair, because you're familiar with both of these inputs. But now you superimpose these two inputs and you get a new vision, a third vision, which is that of a hairy buffalo. And therefore, when you come to the US and you see a bison, you are able to recognize it based on comparison. So, Upama is knowledge through comparison. Now, the fifth one is Anupalabdhi. Anupalabdhi is knowledge through the absence of cognition. And we don't usually think about this too much when we are looking at things, just because we are so accustomed to use this, aspect of our brains, which is that, let's say if I'm appearing in front of you and I tell you I'm not holding a pot. Therefore, there are multiple things happening in your mind, though it's instantaneous. Your immediate conclusion is that there is no pot. But what's really happening is that first, you're looking at an image in your mind of a pot. Second, is you're looking at me and you're trying to find that same image imposed upon me. And the third is that you do not find that conclusion, and therefore you infer that there is no pot. And so this is what you call Anupalabdhi, which is knowledge through the absence of cognition. And interestingly, none of these pramanas that we talked about so far can help us arrive at the subject of dharma, or what is karma, or what is the atma, what is Brahman, what is jiva, what is Ishvaraha, what is the sukshma shrira. All of these topics are left unaddressed if we only accept the first five pramanas. And that is why we accept Shruti as a pramana. Shruti is the same as Vedas. The Vedas are a means of knowledge to reveal to us the things which cannot be addressed by the other five pramanas. So, for instance, if Veda says Tattvamasi, there is no pramana that is able to arrive at this position, this conclusion. But the Vedas are what provide this conclusion for us, and therefore it is up to us to treat Shastra as a pramana, and it is the Guru's responsibility to handle it as a pramana while teaching. And so if the Vedas become another philosophy, quote and unquote, then it becomes one amongst the many. There are thousands of philosophies on this planet, and there are probably as many philosophies as there are people. So there could be 7 billion philosophies. Everybody could come with their own philosophy. But we can't go by anybody's conclusion as an individual, because the Vedic teachings are not up for negation by the other pramanas, nor are they some person's a product of a person's mind. And that is also why we call the Vedas Aparushaya. It is not authored by any human. It is something that is divinely intuited. It is received, and that is why you have the concept of Rishi. The Rishis receive this knowledge directly, as we consider traditionally, from either Dakshinamurti Bhagwan or from Vishnu Bhagwan or whoever, whatever your tradition is, we receive it from Bhagwan. And that is why the Vedas are a pramana. And when you handle the Vedas as a pramana, then the meaning becomes clearer to you. And there are no doubts left as well. So, for example, let's say you have one set of teachings of Islam. And Islam says that, Allah is this being distinct from you, sitting up in heaven, forming judgment, and at the end of your life, it'll be determined whether you go to heaven or hell. That is one philosophy. Then you have another philosophy of Christianity, which talks about original sin. And then you have a third philosophy of Buddhism, which says that life is nothingness. The truth. Well, this is one branch of Buddhism, which is Shunyavada, which says that the nature of reality is nothingness. And then you have Jainism, which says there are 6 eternal substances. And then now you have something called the Vedas, which say that, you are the cause and the foundation of all that exists. You are the substratum, the adhisthana. And so which one do we pick? And that is the whole point, that it's not a matter of picking amongst various philosophies, but the Vedas are a fact. And everything else we consider a concocted, a created, an authored philosophy. Whereas the Vedas describe the nature of reality the way it is. And that is the teaching it is passed on. And this understanding is what you call Pramana Buddhi, where we accept it with the same amount of Shraddha as we accept our sense organs. So if tomorrow even the greatest guru in the world comes and tells you that, hey, you know what, the sun does not shine, you will not accept it because your senses reveal otherwise. When you step out in the sun, you see the sun. It also burns your skin, it heats up your body. And therefore, you have so much shraddha in your senses that you will not even go with the conclusion of your guru, even if he says otherwise. And that is why the important part here is that every single pramana is master of its own domain. I cannot use my ears or my nose or my tongue in order to see the color of a flower. The only thing that can inform me of the color and the form of a flower are my eyes. Similarly, the only thing that can inform me of sounds are my ears. None of the other pramanas contradict it, nor do they even touch it. They do not even approach the subject. Similarly, the only pramana that can provide me with the knowledge of the Atma is the Vedas. And that is the pramana buddhi. So, unless there are any questions, back to Shyamu bhai.
No, I'm here. No, I'm here. Can you hear me?
There is one question I have got, though it looks an elementary question. This has been a question remaining as a question for me. So, for any kind of pramana, whether it is these 6 type of pramanas and the Veda as the pramana as one of them, whatever be the pramana, the input device what we use is the 5 senses. One of the 5 senses or all of them in a particular way. So what way is Veda being a pramana different from the other pramanas?
So if I can address that, you have two pramanas, which are of primary importance. Oh, please, if you can mute yourself, there's a lot of echo. So there are two pramanas, which are called the Mula pramanas, and those are the eyes and the ears. And so if you really notice, you don't need any of the other pramanas in order to study the Vedas or listen to the teachings of the Guru, right? But if you don't have either the eyes or the ears, you could be blind, but if you can listen, that's fine. If you cannot listen and you're also blind, then you have a problem. You probably have to come back in another janma to continue the teachings, which is tragic, but that is one's karma. And so all the other pramanas operate, Vedas operates behind the Mula pramanas, whereas all the other pramanas operate independently. A way to really think about it is that when you have the teachings of the Vedas unfolded to you, or okay, let's take it differently. If you have a bacteria, if you have to envision a bacteria, you cannot do it with your naked eyes because your eyes have a certain resolution and you cannot resolve the image to form the image of a bacteria which is extremely tiny, and therefore you use the means like a microscope, right? Similarly, if you have to view a very distinct supernova or whatever, scope, you cannot just make it. So usually in our experience, the two pramanas which are considered Mula pramanas, which operate behind the operation of the Shruti pramana, are the eyes and the ears. And so you are very right in saying that uh, but the difference is that when we talk about pramana buddhi, these pramanas, when we talk about the microscope or the telescope, they magnify or they telescope. There's telescopic vision of what is already there and what is already seen through the eyes. But the difference here is that the Shruti reveals something that cannot be revealed otherwise only through operating the eyes and the ears in their day-to-day Vyavaharikam, if that makes sense. So one can look at the Mula Pramana, the two, the Vak and Chakshu, sorry, not Vak and Chakshu, Chakshu and the Shrotra, as operating behind the Vedas, but it cannot be a substitute Pramana. Does that make sense? Because Atma, Tattvamasi, Aham Brahmasmi, all of this knowledge that is contained in the Vedas cannot be had otherwise, unless you also operate the Vedas. So it's kind of like a secondary operation, but it's still a Pramana. Yeah, this is Varshaji, I believe.
Namaste. Well, you said that in the last sentence. What I wanted to add is the pramana means a means of knowledge. So whatever pramanas the other we have, we do not have it as a means of knowledge to understand what we are trying to understand about our own self, the Atma. So with eyes or nose, it's not going to be sufficient. So then what you need as a means of knowledge, that is Vedas. So that itself is a different entity, that itself is a pramana. So you don't have to question. We don't question what we see. So that is called as pramana, that you don't question that. If you have smelled some rose, you are not questioning that whether you have smelled a rose or not. So like that, the knowledge, it's a mean of knowledge and it stands separate. Where your jnanendriyas and karmendriyas fail to understand a particular philosophy of the Vedanta or of what is yourself. So that is understood by pramana. That's all I wanted to add.
So I guess we can continue with the reading. Shyamubai, you there? Okay, I think till we hear back from Shyamubai, any other discussions on Pramana?
Out of the different school of thoughts, what we have discussed and what we know of ourselves. So everyone is saying that is a true pramana of knowledge, source of knowledge. So how do we?
In a sense,
Mm.
only in a sense, but the subject of Pramana and the concept of it has not been developed outside of the Vedic traditions with the same acuity. So it is only the Vedic traditions that really stress on the idea of a Pramana, while other traditions or even you want to call it religions, they simply ask you to accept the conclusions just as a matter of fact. They still do not delete the entire concept of Pramana. They don't talk about Pratyaksha, Anumana, Artha, Prati, Upama, Upalabdhi, Shruti, this, that, and all. Um, and also, if you see some of the other traditions like Charvaka, they don't accept any Pramana except Pratiksha.
Except Pratyaksha, correct.
And so I kind of once made a joke about it that today you don't find any Charvakas, at least the Charvaka school of thought. Many people conflate atheism with Charvakism, which is not the same. I don't think they are the same. There's a lot of difference. But you don't find any Charvaka because they have all been wiped out. And the joke I make is that they refuse to acknowledge that there's fire because there was smoke. Because they saw smoke, they don't even accept Anumana. So they probably all got burnt up. Which is sad, right? Because if you really think about it, one would expect, like, through your basic sense of understanding, that you would at least go with Anumana, if not anything else, or Arthapatti. But they were hardcore Pratyaksha Pramana based individuals, and they would not accept anything else.
But such people put through all these kind of questions without saying it. How can you believe it? Then I put a
Yeah.
question back to them saying, okay, that nowadays the modern science looks like a fiction. So people are saying 500 light years, about 500 light years away from us, there is a possibility of human life. So how do you accept that? They have not seen it. You also not seen it. How do you accept that? It is just
And
because they
Shraddha,
say it, you accept it.
see, modern humans, especially Indians these days, have this tendency to have more Shraddha in science than do in Shastra. And to an extent it's fine, but a lot of people simply accept things on fact basis. So for example, if as you mentioned, that if somebody says that the star Sirius is 7 light years away, you just accept it. Most people don't even know what a light year is. They can't even imagine it in their mind how large a distance a light year is. It is tremendously large, but still people accept it. If the person says the age of the universe is 13.7 billion years, people don't realize that this 13.7 or whatever billion years that has been assigned is only a middle approximation. It's kind of a statistical average. It's not like, a fact, but we accept a lot of things that scientists say as fact. So the problem is that our Shraddha is functioning through every means of knowledge. When you talk about science, it is a combination of all the other pramanas except Shruti. So in science, of course, you have direct sensory perception, obviously. You have Anumana. So when you talk about scientific experiments, there's so much Anumana, Athapatti, Upama, all of these things going on. And so all of science is in the domain of the first five pramanas. Now, I would even argue that if you have to have operate through your panch jnanendriyas, you need to have shraddha in those as well. And that we develop as children. So if you study childhood development, little kids, the first pramana that they develop shraddha in is their sense of touch. And that is why you'll see little kids crawling towards objects. Even if they see it from a distance, they will not believe it until they touch it. And so we don't realize this, but all of us in our childhood and in our formative years, we've developed shraddha in all the other pramanas. And the same thing works even for the Vedas. Over time, with maturity, with adhikartvam, with the right qualifications, the sadhana chatushta, everything, once that's been developed, then the Veda pramana works for you. The Shruti pramana works for you. So the same way we have shraddha in scientists, we should also have shraddha in our teachers. That's what I will say. I guess we can go back to the presentation. Oops, I think Shamubai dropped off. So I think we can just maybe spend a few minutes introducing ourselves, our background, maybe. So I see Anjuji has joined us, and Varsha ji is here, and Raghu ji. So all of you all have not spoken at all. Rajiv ji, we've spoken last time. Anjuji, if you can unmute your mic, we can probably hear your story, background. Okay, I think maybe we can come back to Anjuji in a bit. Rajiv ji, how about yourself? We didn't hear from you earlier.
Oh, that's how do I go back to the group?
Okay, can we continue reading?
Yeah, we can continue.
Okay.
Okay. I guess Nirmala ji was reading. Just one more page. You can.
Should I continue?
Yeah. 1 second. I can scroll.
Can you share the screen?
Yeah. I'm sharing. 1 second. Can you see now?
No, I can't see still.
Yeah. 1 second. I think. Yeah.
Yeah, he's back now.
Yeah. Can you see now?
The document is not visible as yet. Hello?
I think he dropped off the call. Maybe we should keep somebody as a backup. I don't know.
Yeah, Prashantji, the PDF document he shared didn't have this, what we are reading, the preface. So otherwise I would have read it from there.
Okay, can you see now? I think you can all see.
Yeah, it's clear now.
Sorry, there was some network issues. You can read from as can be seen from.
As can be seen from the chart, the Vedantic school, a part of the Astika stream, has 6 branches. Of these 3 branches, that is Advaita, non-dualism, Vishishtadvaita, qualified dualism, and Dvaita dualism, are very popular, having been extensively commented upon by medieval philosophers and modern teachers of the philosophy. Tattvabodha is an introductory text which expounds the philosophy of the Advaita branch, that is, the non-dualistic philosophy contained in the Upanishads. The contents of this text are broadly divided into 5 sections. The first section is called Sadhana Chatushtayam. This section deals with the fourfold qualifications required for a spiritual seeker to undertake the Vedantic study. The second section is Vyasti Vicharaha, the analysis of the individual. Shamuji?
The screen is gone now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
go on now. Okay.
Multiple screens are now it's okay.
Okay.
Vyasti means the individual, the microcosm. Vichara means analysis. He got disconnected.
Can you see?
No, Shamuji, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
But
The
we are not
document-
seeing your screen.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, it's my network is little having some problems. That's it.
Is it possible to send it in?
Yeah, I'll send it after 2 days. I think now you can.
Yes, clear. The third section is Samasti Vicharaha, the analysis of the total. Samasti means the total, the universal, the cosmos, or the macrocosm. The fourth section is called Aikya Vicharaha, the analysis of the essential oneness of the individual, that is, Vyasti and Samasti, the total. Aikyam means essential oneness. And the fifth and the final section is Jnana Phalam, the benefit that will accrue to anyone who gains this knowledge. That is the Aikya Jnana Phalam. Within each section, the topics which have been discussed are arranged in the form of chapters.
Okay, I think we can close here now and start Swamiji's Pravachanam next. So if there are any thoughts you can share or any doubts or anything from what we have read so. Does anybody have any thoughts to share?
So the whole structure, I am just reiterating what has been told in the slides. Is that okay?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So first the qualifications are talked about. Who can read this? And before reading this, what are the qualifications you should achieve or acquire? So that's what is the first section all about. And the second one is all about the individual. The whole, I would not use the word creation, but the whole system or structure as a from the individual standpoint. Okay. And that is called the Vyashti. Then the next one comes, which is Samashti, as an universal, from the universal standpoint, what it is all about. So that is the third section. The fourth section is Aikya Vichara, that is how Vyashti and Samashti, though the standpoints are different, how both are one and the same. So it talks about that. That is the fourth one. And the last one is Jnana Palam. What do we gain out of this Jnanam? So this is all it talks about, all these slides, right?
Yeah, yeah. It's actually an yeah, it's actually an introduction of all the topics dealt in Vedanta. That's what Tattvabodha is giving you. That's why Pujya Swamiji chose it as the introductory test. It gives you a basic idea of everything. And I would like to point out some thing Pujya Swamiji says in his talks. Tat, yeah, the Tattvabodha means Bodha means the knowledge of Tattva. Tattva is the knowledge of you. Tattva is yourself. Bodha is the knowledge of Tattva, the reality that is yourself. So the topic built in Tattvabodha is nothing but Atmajnana. It, but the good thing is that it presents the basic ideas of Vedanta test. So we, before reading any more complex Vedanta text like maybe Bhagavad Gita or Upanishads, it is really good to know Tattvabodha. So that's why Pujya Swamiji included it. And even Tattvabodha, for us to appreciate, I would say what Prashanti explained about Pramana, that it should be very clear to us. We should very, without Shraddha in Guru uh, and the Shastram, there is no, it is not, the study won't be complete actually. The study, you won't understand without Shraddha in Guru and Pramana. Okay, Rajiv, you can please ask. Rajiv ji? Rajiv ji, can you unmute? Please. Yeah, please type then.
So, in the meanwhile, on the subject of Pramana, I thought I'll share a short story. So, Pujya Swamiji talked about this once. There was a person who was not blind, but he was blind from birth, and the doctor performed an operation on him. And he, when you usually get operated on the eye, you have all these bandages which you have to remove at the end. And so the doctor said that there's a good possibility, a very strong possibility that you'll be able to see. And so I'm about to open your bandages, and I want you to open your eyes and tell me if you're able to see or not. And the patient said that no, I will only open your eyes if you can guarantee that I can see. And that is a paradox, because the only person who can say that they are able to see is the one who's operating the pramana, not the doctor. The doctor may have done a perfect operation. There could have been no flaw as such. But the only one who can verify that he is able to see the forms and the colors is the guy who's sitting behind the pramanas, which is the individual who's operated upon. And that is the same tragedy here we have, that we do not operate the Shastra as a pramana. And when we talk about Shraddha, this person should have had Shraddha in the doctor, that only if I give the benefit of the doubt to what the doctor says and allow this pramana to operate or be operated by me, then I'll be able to see. And by not allowing himself to have that Shraddha in the doctor, he was not able to see, because he never opened his eyes, because the doctor could never prove that you will be able to see. And with Shastra as well, Shastra is a pramana which you have to give the benefit of the doubt to until further understanding. So the meaning of Shraddha is faith pending understanding. And that is why Vedanta stresses, and we'll probably see much ahead in Tattvabodha, not much ahead, but a little in the next session probably, that Shraddha is faith pending understanding. Vedanta Guru Vakeshu Vishwasaha iti Shraddha. So to have Shraddha, which is not faith, but it is faith or trust pending understanding. That until I'm able to understand further, I accept the conclusion of the Shastra as a fact. And then until then, I continue asking questions to the Guru. I continue doing my mananam after the Shravanam is done. So yeah, that's all I just wanted to mention.
I was actually searching for some there's an article on the same by Swami Paramarthananji, but unfortunately I didn't get. It's really important that we appreciate this idea of Veda as Pramana. Otherwise, there is no use until you get it. No, nobody can. It's not like Abrahamic religions. We can't force. Yeah, they say you will go to hell unless you accept. Sorry, unless you accept this book of theirs. We cannot force you to know anybody to or take Vedas like that. There is a great difference actually. One has to actually realize it himself that Veda is the Pramana. It should have that, as Prasanthi said, faith pending understanding. So I guess we can close.
Yeah, so thanks a lot. I really appreciate that Shamubai has taken the pain and effort to conduct the session, and he will be doing so every week on Saturdays at 7 to 8 p.m. Indian time.
Yeah.
So I hope that everyone who attended today would also be back next week. So
Yeah.
thanks once again, Shamubai.
Thanks, Prasanthi. Okay, we can close. We can close with a prayer. Right? Om Gurur Brahma, Gurur Vishnu, Gurur Devo Maheshwarah, Guru Sakshat Parabrahma, Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. Yes, we can close.